Good evening, everybody. I'd like to thank the Whitefish Bay Women's Club for having us here today. I'd like to thank the ICC as well as Mr. Hankin. As I told him a few minutes before, I'm a big fan of his organization's work. I actually wrote an op-ed that was based on a report that you guys did on the City of Milwaukee's finances and their troubling nature, and that was prior to the last couple of years when things have gotten even worse. It's nice to be back in Whitefish Bay. I attended Dominican High School, graduated there in 2001, so I know these neighborhoods a little bit, but haven't been back in quite a while. I appreciate all of you coming here. Let's talk about redistricting at the county level. On April 19th, a couple of days before the county board voted for their proposed map, we sent a letter to the Milwaukee County Board, and we encouraged them to conduct the redistricting process in a way that brings citizens together, encourages robust political debate, and generates accountability to the public. We also asked them to give time to busy members of the public, such as yourself, to review the current proposal and generate their own proposal. As it turns out, they didn't take my advice. But here we are tonight doing all those things that I asked the county board to give us the opportunity to do. And fortunately, it is not too late for the public to still impact this process. The county board does have to make adjustments to their map based on the voting wards coming out of the municipalities. So there's still time to have some impact on this process. What we're looking for, first and foremost, is as much citizen participation as possible. As has been stressed already this evening, this is something that happens once every 10 years, and it's very critical that everybody get involved. Redistricting is an inherently cynical process, a quasi-corrupt process that occurs when politicians are in control of their future and their job security. That's just how it is. They're human beings. They care about being able to make a living, and so they're going to act in their best interest. It is the responsibility of the public to ensure that the politician's best interest also happens to be the citizen's best interest. And that is why it's so important for everybody to play a major role in pressuring the county board to adopt a map that's in the best interest of the citizens of Milwaukee County. What the NAACP is looking for in particular is a map that prevents the dilution of the minority vote and provides for diverse districts. One of the things that I like to talk about is the issue of segregation in metropolitan Milwaukee. And unfortunately, our segregation issue is on display in this room. It's on display at the last public hearing that I attended, which was community brainstorming on the north side of Milwaukee. That's an issue. We are the most segregated metro area in the country, and the bottom line with segregation is that it's inefficient. It's an inefficient transfer of resources, ideas, manpower between different areas of the metro. We don't speak to one another, we don't go to each other's neighborhoods, we don't talk to one another, we don't do a whole lot of business with one another, and that's inefficient, and ultimately it's not in any of our best interests. So one of the things that the NAACP did was we created a county map that intended to create as diverse districts as possible. We didn't do that because we thought that map would actually be enacted. But we did that as a demonstration to highlight the issue of diversity and segregation in Milwaukee, and also to encourage other community organizations and activists to draw their own maps. Since that time that has occurred, we are very proud of the fact that this has become a larger issue than I think the majority of the county board suspected it would be. And we are very encouraged by everybody here, and we hope that everybody does their part to ensure that the district map that ultimately comes out is the best map possible. Thank you.
Wow, how do you follow that? Thank you, the Whitefish Bay's Women's Club and the ICC. Really appreciate the opportunity for us to be heard on our issue. You know, when we started getting involved in the redistricting meetings and stuff, it wasn't so much about seeking Hispanic representation as it was keeping the Hispanic community together. You know, we feel the importance is that on issues that relate to county, city, that we participate in as well. One of the things that people often criticize the Hispanic community is for our lack of our participation, especially when it comes to voting. A lot of that comes from us not having the candidates that we are interested in. But, you know, we still nevertheless vote. A prime example is Alderman Wakowiak in the city of Milwaukee. Though his district is 75% Hispanic, he still continues to get reelected. So it's not so much about who's representing us, whether he's Hispanic, white, black, etc., is if that person is doing the right job, you know. And that's where we're pretty much at, is that we were looking at for people who are going to do the job. We want to participate in the concept of bringing together the district that will keep us in the voting age factor. A lot of people are always in the misconception that Hispanic is illegal. And trust me, when you read the post on the Milwaukee Journal and every article, you'll see that. But we're trying to evolve beyond that right now. What we're trying to do is we're basically concentrate on the fact that the second generation of Hispanics are pretty much starting to become like Americans, much like the Germans, the Irish, and everyone else before us. And we're following the same pattern. You know, we're starting to become more involved in the electoral process and the American process, and that's what we want to do. That's the reason why we're here. That's the reason why we're all here. But aside all of that, I'd like to just, you know, keep it real simple and just let everybody know that, you know, our participation is that, you know, we want to make sure that our community stays intact and it's not divided between 50,000 different districts in 10 different ways. Thank you.
Hello. I just want to say it's dangerous enough to give me a microphone, but when you give me one on a stage like this, I mean, you can be setting yourself up for some pretty bad Dean Martin or Frank Sinatra renditions, but I'll spare you all tonight. I have been asked to come, and I'm going to talk about two different plans that I put together. The first one I did was actually presented to the county board. It was voted on, but it was rejected by the majority of the county board. That plan called for a 15-district plan. We currently have 19 districts, as you know, right now. I proposed a 15-district plan. The reason that I chose the number of 15 is a 4% reduction in the number of supervisory districts on the board is 20% roughly. That matches the overall workforce reduction that Milwaukee County has put in place since the last redistricting. We've cut our overall county workforce about 20%. So I felt that it was only right to bring down the management side, the supervisory positions, by at least that same number. The districts that I merged in order to get into, to go from 19 down to 15 seats are in the central part of the county, and that matches the population shift. When you look at the 2010 census figures, the county lost its population in the central part. The central part of the county decreased, and that primarily moved south, and some of it moved to the north. So when I rearranged the districts, I followed that same pattern, and I shrunk the central part of the county's districts, and then we expanded the north and the south ones. If you take a look at the numbers, you'll see that district number 5, which is right in the central part of the county, had the greatest population decrease in all of Milwaukee County in the census. That one district alone lost 5,280 people. That's almost the entire amount of population decrease in the entire Milwaukee County, just in one supervisory district. So if you're going to eliminate districts, it makes sense that that's the one where you would start, because that's where the population decrease came. The district number 9, incidentally, which is in the southeastern part of the county, seen the single biggest population increase. That went up by 8,935. My 15-district plan lays out 5 primarily suburban districts and 10 primarily city of Milwaukee districts. That matches the population of the people in Milwaukee County. The suburbs represent about 37% of the population in the entire county, whereas the city of Milwaukee makes up about 63%. So when you look at my 15 district plan, it mirrors that same. If you take a look at what I have, the black population in Milwaukee County is 26.77%. That equals, in percentage population, that would come down to 4 districts. My 15 district plan has 5 districts that are African American majorities. The Hispanic population in Milwaukee County is 13.29%. That would equal 2 Hispanic population districts. My first 15 district plan has 1. So I'm a little short on that one. If you take a look at the slide, we have the one, Stefan, that shows the ratios. On the 15 district plan, I have one, when it talks voting age population now, and voting age is different than your general population. General population deals with the overall people in the district. The voting age hones in specifically on the number of people that are eligible to vote. The 15 district plan, I have 1 district that's greater than 75%, 1 greater than 70, 1 greater than 65, 1 greater than 60, 1 greater than 50. It's a fairly even distribution. The staff plan that was approved by Milwaukee County has, I have the numbers up there too. You can see they have relatively the same as me. They have 2 that are over 55% and 1 over 50. If you look at the Hispanic population, again, this is just voting age. I have 1 district that is over 60%, 1 over 35%. The staff plan is 1 over 65, 1 over 40. We had a handout at the beginning of the, at the tables in the beginning, and if you take a look, it's going to say right on the top here, it'll say San Filippo 15. This will be a map that you can take home with you that shows the layout of the districts under the 15 district plan. On the back is all the voting population, broken down by voting age and also just by general population. And then I have the North Shore districts that would entail Whitefish Bay that are relative to this plan too. The other plan that I put together, which is a plan that I did after I did the 15 district plan, this is a plan that was not presented to the county board. By the time I did this plan, the board had already adopted their 18 district plan. This plan I did because I was approached by some members of the Hispanic community that asked me if in fact the 2 districts could be made with Hispanic majority. Gotcha. So I did put together a plan, and I used the 18, the number of 18, rather than working with the number of 15, because that was a number that was already adopted by the county board. And the group that had asked me to do this plan was told that it was impossible to get 2 Hispanic majority districts in Milwaukee County. I have to wrap up here, but if you go back to the slide, Stefan, where that shows the population by the voting age by district, you can see this where it says San Filippo 18 on the bottom. I was clearly able to get on voting age majority 2 Hispanic majority districts. And that can be seen in this plan that says San Filippo 18. So it is possible to do that. And I kept that in proportion as well to the population. I have to wrap up, so as usual, it's hard to shut me up and get me on the microphone, but thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Charles Mulcahy. In 1964, I was in this hall at a candidates forum running for Milwaukee County Board of Supervisors, and I was elected that year. And at that time, my district was Shorewood, Whitefish Bay, Fox Point, Bayside, Glendale, River Hills, Ground Air, all the way across the northern part of Milwaukee County to 124th Street. That district had 100,000 people in it. And to be very frank about it, with a 32-year incumbent I was running against, Richard White, that was the only reason I won. We were young and we had a lot of shoe leather and we did the job. And it was shortly after that that the United States Supreme Court adopted the one-man, one-vote rule, and that then triggered the necessity of redistricting after the census, and that's what this is, of course, all about tonight. All of us that are involved in this tonight are volunteers. We care about our communities, whether it's the NAACP, Hispanic community, myself being a lifelong resident of the North Shore. I would like to